Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carly Fiorina.
Clap along if you feel like a room
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good afternoon. When I was a little girl, my mother in Sunday school gave me a plaque that read, "What you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God." Years later, I would be fortunate enough to enroll in Stanford University, where I would earn a degree in medieval history and philosophy, all dressed up and nowhere to go. Although that degree has come in handy recently since our president keeps talking about the Crusades. Yes, Mr. President, ISIS indeed wants to drive the whole world back to the Middle Ages, but the rest of us moved on about 800 years ago. And while you seek moral equivalence, the world waits for moral clarity and American leadership. With that degree in medieval history and philosophy, I was unemployable, and so I went to law school. I hated it. I quit after a single semester and had to go back to work full-time, doing what I had done part-time to help put myself through school. I typed, I filed, I answered the phones for a little 9-person real estate firm. I would eventually become the chief executive of the world's largest technology company, HP. And together with the great people of that great company, we would double the size of the business from 45 billion to 90 billion. We would triple its rate of innovation to 11 patents a day and go from a laggard to a leader in every product category and every market segment in which we competed. I know that it is only in this country that a young woman can go from secretary to CEO. And that is because our founders knew what my mother taught me. Everyone has God-given gifts. Everyone has potential, often far more than they realize. I have learned this over and over in my life, from my fellow workers in business to the slums of New Delhi, India. I have seen it in Norfolk, Virginia, as I distributed diapers to young mothers who had the courage to bring their children into the world. Every life has potential. Our founders believed that this must be a country where everyone has the right to fulfill their potential. This is what they meant when they said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so we became the greatest nation in the world and throughout all human history, because here, more things were more possible for more people from more places. Here, people could fulfill their potential. When I was typing in that little company, and indeed throughout my career, I have needed someone to take a chance on me. When I battled cancer, I needed many helping hands. When my husband Frank and I lost our younger daughter Lori to the demons of addiction, we relied on the strength of our family, the solace of our faith, but we also were lifted up by the prayers and the kindness of so many strangers who became blessings in our lives. Everyone needs a helping hand. But no one wants to be trapped in the web of dependence that has been woven over decades in our nation. To fulfill their potential, people need an education, tools, training, support, and they need a job. The president of the Chicago Teachers Union once said this: "We cannot be held responsible for the performance of the children in our classrooms because too many of them come from poor and broken families." Liberals may be prepared to dismiss and disregard Americans because of their circumstances. Liberals may be prepared to consign some to lives of dependence, while others, who think they are smarter and they are better, will take care of them. But we, as conservatives, are not. We know that no one of us is better than any other one of us. We know that each one of us has God-given gifts and can live a life of dignity and purpose and meaning. Work is a central part of such a life, and so we must rebuild Main Street. Elizabeth Warren is right. Crony capitalism is indeed alive and well. Government and government programs have grown so big, so powerful, so costly, and so complex that only the big and the powerful can prosper. But Elizabeth Warren is dead wrong about how to end crony capitalism, because you see, whether it is Dodd-Frank or Obamacare or net neutrality, all this government complexity means the big get bigger, the small disappear, and the powerless are trapped. We are now destroying more businesses than we are creating for the first time in U.S. history. Most Americans get their start the way I did, in a small business. The dry cleaners, the taquerias, the coffee shops, the hairdressers, and the real estate firms of American Main Street create most of our new jobs and employ half our people. So if we want more jobs, we need more small businesses. And we need more leaders, not managers. You see, managers are people who do the best they can within existing constraints and conditions. Managers are people who tinker around the edges of a problem. We need leaders who do not accept what is broken simply because it has always been that way. We need leaders who will change the order of things, leaders who see and seize possibilities and know that the highest calling of leadership is to unlock the potential of others. Technology gives us the tools to engage American citizens in reforming our government as never before. Why should we accept that veterans have to spend many months filling out paperwork when they return from the battlefield, and many more months waiting for a bureaucrat to approve them before they get the services they've earned? Why should we accept that? We must unlock the potential of every American. We must fundamentally reform government, and we must restore American leadership in the world. I know Bibi Netanyahu, and as I sat in his office 5 years ago, he spoke then of the dangers posed by Iran. He travels here next week not to offend our president, but to warn the American people that our president's insistence on a deal with Iran at any cost is a danger to the world. King Abdullah of Jordan, and I applauded King Abdullah's leadership when his response to the beheading of a Jordanian pilot was to immediately execute 2 convicted terrorists and begin bombing. He came to this country seeking our support, and he has still not received it. Neither have the Kurds nor the Ukrainians. And when the Egyptians bombed targets in Libya in response to the beheading of 21 Christians, this administration stood silently by and neither condemn nor condone Egypt's forceful response. This is not leadership. Nor is it leadership Nor is it leadership when Secretary Clinton asks, what difference does it make when our embassy is deliberately attacked by terrorists and 4 Americans are murdered? It makes all the difference in the world, Mrs. Clinton, and the required response has never come. Like Mrs. Clinton, I too have traveled the globe. Unlike Mrs. Clinton, I know that flying is an activity, not an accomplishment. I have met Vladimir Putin, and I know that his ambition will not be deterred by a gimmicky red reset button. Mrs. Clinton, please name an accomplishment. And in the meantime, please accept and explain why we should accept that the millions and millions of dollars that have flowed into the Clinton Foundation from foreign governments do not represent a conflict of interest. She tweets about women's rights in this country and takes money from governments that deny women the most basic human rights. She tweets about equal pay for women but will not answer basic questions about her own office's pay standards, and neither will our president. Hillary may like hashtags, but she does not know what leadership means. And so, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to declare, without apology and without equivocation, that this is the greatest nation the world has ever known. We are a force for good in the world. Now is the time to reaffirm that every American, regardless of their circumstances, has the right and the opportunity to fulfill their potential. We must rise together to meet our challenges. Now is the time for citizenship and leadership. Let us declare the end of identity politics that seeks to divide rather than to unite. Let us declare the end of lowered expectations. Let us refuse to accept what has been broken about our politics and our government for so long. So, let us together restore the promise of this, our beloved, our beautiful, our blessed United States of America. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. May God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly Fiorina. Thank you for that rousing speech. The tweets have been coming in. I've got just a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Along with that hashtag, CPAC-Q, I should mention. First off, in helping the middle class, the current president wants to redistribute income through changes in the income tax code and make 2 years of community college free in doing that. Is there a counter approach to that, and what would that be?
Well, you know, one of the things this president loves to do is distract us. So I think he is trying to distract us from the fact that we have too many failing high schools in this country by offering community college for free. If we want to educate our children, let us make sure that every parent has a choice and a chance to educate their children so that they can fulfill their potential. And as far as the tax code is concerned, you know, our tax code has grown so incredibly complex, tens of thousands of pages. And so while, of course, we should lower rates so that we do not have the highest business tax rate in the world, in an era where we have to compete for every job, what we really have to do is radically simplify the tax code, because regular people and small businesses simply can't deal with the complexity anymore, and all those loopholes and all those write-offs, they benefit the powerful and the connected and the wealthy and the large.
Thank you. Next question. People can't get enough of hearing about job creation. So what's the best way to improve unemployment to increase the hiring of more quality jobs?
Well, I think first of all, we have to recognize that while we talk a lot about rebuilding America, which is true, we also have to retrain America. We can't give up on workers who at 45 or 50 or 55 or 60 lose their job through no fault of their own. We need to retrain them so that they are qualified for the 21st century jobs. I go into too many towns where I see an organization, a manufacturing facility, perhaps with help wanted signs up, and unemployment that is too high. So we have to retrain America, even as we must make sure that every one of our children gets a quality education. We have to, as I said in my speech, we have to rebuild Main Street. It's a shocking statistic that we are now destroying more businesses than we are creating. And when we are destroying small business, we are destroying jobs for the middle class. 2/3 of new jobs are created by small business. Half the people are employed by small businesses. So we have to do everything in our power to compete for every job by simplifying our tax code, lowering our rates, vastly simplifying our regulatory structure, educating our children, retraining our workers, and rebuilding small businesses in the United States.
One last question. This is very important. How important is it to have a female candidate in the race this year for the White House in the next 2 years, going into 2016? And do you have any suggestions on who that should be?
Well, I think our party needs to be as diverse as the nation we hope to represent. Women are now 53% of voters. And so, as I like to tell some of my Democratic friends who continue to talk about the war on women, we are not a special interest group. We are the majority of the nation. And I will say this. If Hillary Clinton had to face me on a debate stage, at the very least, she would have a hitch in her swing.
Thank you. That is it.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you.